understanding that you cannot change it, but you change what you do with it. And actually, there were 3 groups in my study who did not heal.
Okay.
One of them, they had their story and they were sticking with it, and that was it. They just had their story, and year after year, it was the same thing, except, worse. The second group, this was the group that was numbing, avoiding, distracting. They ran to the doctor who put them on a mood stabilizer or an anti-anxiety medication. They started drinking, emotionally eating, numbing, in front of the TV, whatever it is. May have made the day a bit easier to get through, not without a price. They didn't heal. And the third group, this was the group where the betrayer had very little consequences. So whether it was out of financial fear, not wanting to break up a family, religious reasons, that was a big one. They just did all they could to turn the other cheek, try to put it behind them. I saw 2 things with this group. Number 1, a further deterioration of the relationship. And number 2, this group was the most physically sick. Your broken heart can't handle that.
I can imagine, because it's like the learned helplessness study that was done so long ago with the dogs, being, for those people who don't know what it was, because it would never be allowed today from a humane standpoint, but they took these dogs and put them in a cage that had a wire cage that had a way to get from one side of the cage to the other, and they would shock the dogs. And, the dogs would go bouncing back and forth between the 2 sides trying to escape the shocks until they finally just curled up in the corner because they couldn't escape the shocks. And so it sounds to me like that's a learned helplessness. I have to stay in this relationship, but this relationship is devastating. And so it's like you're in this, I can't get out of it, which I would think would be even, multiplying the trauma.
Yeah, it's awful. And that's the thing, and most people don't realize that not only is healing predictable, your transformation's predictable too.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I've had couples come to me where infidelity's been an issue, and they've just tried to, forgive and forget, move on. And it's like, yeah, you guys have not done the work that is going to get you through this. Were there any characteristics about the group that did heal?
Yeah, it was really betrayal will show you who someone truly is. It can also wake them up to who they temporarily became. And it's interesting because we have one of our programs is for the betrayer, our new rebuild program, because the betrayer who's just sort of on to the next and doesn't have any remorse or empathy or regret, you have very little to work with there. But the ones who realize they just blew up their life and made the biggest mistake and broke the heart of the person, the people they love the most, there's a lot of hope for them. And in fact, and just to close the loop on my story, rebuilding is always a choice, whether you rebuild yourself and move on. That's what I did with my family, because healing with them was not an option.
Right.
Or you rebuild something entirely new with the person who hurt you. And that's what I did with my husband. So not long ago, as 2 completely transformed people, we married each other again.
Yeah.
And I never would have done that if he were who he had become, and also if I were who I was. Everything crashes and burns, and with that complete and utter death and destruction of the old, that's how you rebirth the new. So the betrayers who are ready to do whatever it takes, we have our rebuild program for them, and they do so well because they change just as much as the betrayed person changes. And
that is such a key takeaway, that there is a way to get through this, but it takes both people to do it. And that's not and again, the way when I talk about it, it's like, you are never responsible for the other person's choice to betray you. That is not on you. You do not own that. Please let that go. But you do own how you move forward. And to me, doing what I do and talking with you, that's the empowering part, because as long as I keep to a story that doesn't serve me, then I'm the one who's getting hurt by it. But if I can move through that and do this hard work, because I'm going to tell you guys, it's not easy, but it certainly is worth it. Even if you don't have any more contact with that other person ever again, for you just to be able to live a complete life, I think is where the value of doing that hard work is.
Absolutely.
So Debbie, we could talk about this forever. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So could you please share where people can learn more about the 5 stages, how to get out of being stuck in stage 3, because I think there's so many people out there that are suffering that they could, taking positive action would make a world of difference.
Sure, and the book just for stage 3 is From Hardened to Healed. I mean, I found that's where everybody lands, so there's a book just for them. Everything is at the PBT, as in Post-Betrayal Transformation, thepbtinstitute.com. They'll find everything there.
Well, great, because betrayal is like having your legs knocked out from under you and your heart stomped on all at the same time. You may feel like things will never be right again, that you will never be able to trust anyone ever for any reason. But if you follow what you've learned today, you can actually repair your heart and your life. And I really sincerely hope that if you're one of these people who's been betrayed, that you please do what it takes to heal yourself, because you deserve it. And hopefully one of the things that you will keep doing in your journey is listening to this show. And so until next week, stay loving.